Welcome back. I hope you had a nice lunch and are ready for the upcoming lectures. I'm happy to introduce our next speaker, Ilya Kalmikov. Ilya works as a 3D character artist at Ulysses Graphics, and he's gonna share some tips that will save you time on the next 3D art project. Your word.
Okay, hello everyone. Hope you hope you're doing well and in the same safe time or safe place. So, good day everyone. Again, it's a pleasure for me to speak to you today. Uh, Thank you, Evgenia. My name is Ilya Kalmikov, and I am 3D character artist at Ulysses Graphics. As you may know, we are an outsourced company for AAA game content creation. And here is a list of our partners. Among them are Activision, Warner Bros. Games, Sharkmob, Capcom, and others. A lot of cool guys. And there are some projects our character team has worked on that we are allowed to mention to you today. There are many more projects, but unfortunately we can't mention them due to NDA. And so, as you can see, there are many cool partners and projects we normally work with. And if you want to join our company, just check out our website and our specialist will reply to you. Moving on to our conversation. So my topic is the principle from the general to specific and how our visual system works. Like many of you, I have often heard this from more experienced colleagues, like think globally. Just try to relax and understand what this will look like from the outside. But what does that really mean? Unfortunately, these phrases mean nothing to newcomers. For people who don't understand the system in general, for people who don't have much experience in 3D or other visual professions, it means nothing. And so there are two ways to start understanding this. Why from general to specific? Why it's so important in our profession? One way is to spend a lot of time and learn it the hard way by gaining experience. That's how I learned it. Not so good way. And the other way is to figure out how the system works and save some time. And today I'll try to tell you briefly how our visual system works and why our brain works exactly from the general to specific. And of course, why we should consider that in our work as a character artist. Over 7 years of experience in different areas of 3D, I noticed that people make approximately the same mistakes, and I used to be among them. The story is everywhere, in game development, in 3D printing, in jewelry, everywhere. It's all about, non-understanding of the system. 80% of the work on the internet looks something like this skull on the left. A lot of details, no silhouette. Everyone do something like that. That's actually my first skull. The skull on the right is not ideal, but much more suitable for most games, and already on this form, we can add some detail and noises. It will look something like this, with the same details actually. And today I'll try to show how people process visual information and go through the whole process with different examples. But our main example will be the skull. But we will also use other examples as well. And from general to specific, we will analyze the skull from its basic silhouette to the finished version. Okay, so let's go. Let's turn on our brain. But before the analysis of the skull, I want to tell you a little bit about the principle of modularity of thinking. That's very important for our topic today. And what happened next after the image enters the eye and travel further along the optical channel? it comes to our visual system. It gets here, into our brain, in the department that's responsible for visualization. And analyzing an image is usually a very fast process, and it's very hard to comprehend it. And I guess we should slow it down a little bit. And after that, we can see that this is actually a cascade of stages of analysis. They are going one after another, step by step. And each next requires more energy from our brain. Our brain is a muscle, and it's a very lazy muscle, like any muscle in our body. It tries to save as much energy as possible. It tries to draw a conclusion as quickly as possible, which is its main task. Just like we do at work, we try to close the task as quickly as we can because of some deadlines. So after that, we can, go drink beer with our friends or something like this. This is what the analysis looks like, step by step, and every next step took our brain more energy. We have to try very hard to keep the viewer attention on our work. It used to be that in ancient times, everything was simple. You see a dangerous silhouette in a distance, you have to run. You see a silhouette about your size, you run too. But if there are no park nearby, everything about survival. So that's a main priority for our brain. Which is another reason why our brain tries to understand as quickly as possible what's the object in front of us, because it's very important to survival. Is it dangerous or not? Does it have spikes, claws, and other dangerous things? That's why it's so important to work out the silhouette to hold the viewer's attention at the start. So, as I said, our brain tried to find already prepared solution, but where does the brain get this information for these already prepared solutions? The thing is that inside the brain there are a huge amount of prepared solutions. We can call them visual stereotypes, like stereotypes, any stereotypes. It's a huge archive of data. It's like a library or something like that. So when there is a question such as what is this object, or should I run from this, the brain goes to the library and reads this data. This prepared solution from the archive and draw a conclusion based on that. That is much better and easier for our brain than write a new book or finding a new solution, in other words. Also, it saves a lot of energy if we just go to this archive and use its already prepared solutions. To prove you that our brain is very, very lazy muscle and it uses these pre-made solutions, let's do a little experiment. A lot of you maybe know this experiment, I don't know, but I think it's cool. And then I'll tell you why this is the case. So for this experiment, you need to have a piece of paper. Then just draw a dot and a cross, as shown here on screen. There should be a distance between them, roughly a size of a palm or something like that. Maybe 15 centimeters, something like that. Now, after that, close the left eye with your hand and look at the dot. At some point, the cross will disappear, and vice versa. So if you close your other eye and look at the cross, at some point, the dot will disappear. That's funny thing and can be a little bit scary for you, so be careful. This happens because of the blind spot, which is right here at the base of the eye. So our brain does not have any information in this point about the world in general. So our brain and the brain uses the archive to fill this empty space. For 99% of people, this image disappears, but there are 1% of people who don't have these visual stereotypes of paper for some reason. For example, child, yeah, some very young child, and they have something like a hole, just empty space of without anything. A little bit scary too, actually. That's amazing how lazy our brain are, but as you can see, it works. So maybe the dot or the cross are not so important for our brain. Apparently, the brain has other priorities. Maybe we have something like visual stereotypes that dot and cross it is not something dangerous and important for us. I usually take the time to think about who will judge my work, who it's for, and try to tune my brain to understand what visual stereotype my maybe customer have. And finally, we have the first step of analysis, inner ear. After the image goes through the nerve to the inner ear is the first stage of analysis. So, as you can see, the inner ear is not a part of visual cortex, which is right here. And but it's where everything starts. The cascade begin. Remember, yeah, with this snowball image. All the inner ear is responsible for is identifying 2 points, top and bottom. And here our skull. You can already see how it works. The silhouettes are different, and the brain thinks that these are different objects. So let's make a little bit more complex. This is my announced Black Doctor character, and I want to show you this little trick in 3D. And this one trick that you can use in production. So when your eye gets tired of an image, you can flip it over. It will make our inner ear flip the image and restart the whole cascade of analysis. That's the cool thing. In fact, when we get tired of an object, whether we are a viewer or an artist, it means that our brain has almost created a visual stereotype of that object. And it's no longer a mystery to our brain. So, of course, some of you may have seen this technique, but now you understand why it works, because this flip erased the cache from your brain and forcing the cascade of processing to restart. I guess it's very convenient, actually. I often use it in my work to refresh my perception, just to see the object from another angle. Just try to, see something interesting. And the second stage of the analysis, the extremis of the object. So we have our turned the image over, and this is good start for us. Then we begin a rather complicated process of describing the object. It's it took us much more energy than previous one, just 2 points. First, our brain describes the extreme point of the object. We can call it silhouette in other words. In the past, our ancestors saw danger from aware, and that was the key to their survival. Our skull is not very dangerous, as we can see. It's very smooth shapes, almost no angles, not dangerous. Our brain is used to breaking down complex objects into some simple shapes. So usually every object is broken down into these simple shapes like triangles, squares, circle, and we have an association with each of these shapes. For example, a triangle is something more like it's dangerous. So I guess it's something dangerous. It can be natural. Yeah, we know a lot of creature with a triangle with in the silhouette, something sharp and edgy. A square is something in between the circle and triangle, and most likely not not natural because of these 90 degrees angles. And the circle is something man-made as well, maybe or not. Something smooth, something not dangerous. Um, it is the silhouette that's responsible for whether the object has task, maybe some long claw, its speed actually, and its size. So that's more important than everything in the object. And that's what I often do. I break up the object into 5 or more figures in the different angles, thinking about which figures are more needed in my work. So with the skull, everything is clear: a circle and a square. Nothing, something not evil. And this is our Black Doctor. We're already familiar with him. And as you can see, it's not evil as well. It consists almost entirely for squares and cylinders. But if we want to make him a little bit more evil, we can add some spikes on his shoulder, maybe here some triangle form, or maybe some weapon with triangle form in general. Yeah, so that's easy to understand. And no matter how I try, my brain has already decided for itself. You cannot be afraid of it. At least I don't need to run away from this character. It's not scary. That's okay. Maybe cool guy. Yeah. This idea can be applied both when creating a concept as well as when creating a 3D shape based on a concept. So both pipelines. And we need to understand what the first impression was intended to be made on the viewer. That's a key thing. These forms, these basic forms are kind of visual stereotype as well. So we intuitively perceive this form this way. And to make a different impression with these forms, you have to try very hard. Okay, so let's look at some more examples. And here it is, well seen how the basic form affects our first impression. This impression is very important. It forms 60% of our opinion. Yeah, so many. That's how lazy our brain is. Let's look at them from left to right. And try to capture that first impression without analyzing, just like our brain do. The left character is very soft, and also he has some fire underneath here. And but the silhouette of that fire is not significant compared to the soft form of this character. It is not. It does no harm, I guess. The one in the middle seems to be not natural. It may be dangerous, but it may be not. It has an ambiguous silhouette, something in the middle. We don't understand what actually how who it is. We don't know. But of course, it's always a good idea to run away of anything. Yeah. The right character, even it is very small. Even it's something like goblin or kobold. it's still very dangerous. So many triangles in his silhouette. Even it's 5 centimeters tall, it's very, very dangerous thing. It's almost the same situation here. Soft forms, triangle forms, etc. It's interesting how the guy in the middle has comparing shapes. So he looked dangerous, but he have some interesting things, and because he have so many smooth shapes as well, he seemed more set up to defend rather than attack. I guess he's something like a crab person, crab man, crab people. I don't know, but I think it's with this shield details. I guess it's something like a crab man. An interesting example would be this work from our portfolio on our station. It's mummy or undead, but personally, I don't want to run away from it. The silhouette is quite soft. The spikes are not very big, so they look more like circles from a distance. This one, I mean, and maybe we can take a risk and get closer, getting him rid of his extra pieces of gold. Okay, so the third stage of analysis. The brain adds points to the silhouette based on the previous stage, primarily analyzing the extremist points again and again, just dividing like we do usually in high poly stage, or on low poly stage when we try to catch these extremists. At this stage, I like to adjust the Chrome shader to highlight the extremist points, but I haven't switched to a shader like a base material yet. So just work as hard as I can with the silhouette. Maybe in general, I try to work with the silhouette as long as possible, maybe even too long. And also this step, it's useful to adjust the camera. Everyone knows the brush specific and with camera. But on this step, I like to turn it to the program in which I will be render my model, just like here. And also, I usually use to understand that will be in the final before low poly, bakes, texture, and other boring stages, just to predict the mistakes, just to understand the final image, what will be in the final. Almost all objects in the distance, our brain only analyzes to this stage or the previous one. So how you see, it doesn't make sense to analyze that person in more detail. Just describe the silhouette. So visual stereotype can be very useful. They can save us so many energy. And our brain already have the conclusion for this person. And in this case, the brain is right. It seems to be just a person, just without any dangers. It's not very dangerous silhouette. And maybe we can even come over and meet it if we want to. Yeah. So the next stage, only now colors. So, and the color silhouette. We have our detailed silhouette of our skull. And only at this stage, brain begins to analyze color, which is a slightly different section of the visual cortex. And color is of interest to the brain only if the silhouette does not give all the information, and you cannot use the visual stereotypes about the silhouette. So the object has to be pretty close to the color to matter. First of all, the brain concentrates on the dark and blind spots. Big point of attention. Even our skull has them. I often do a polypane in the brush to approximate what my work will look like in the end. Again, just to predict the mistake. I don't want to do low poly right now because I need to understand my color here and now. And here's another example of a color silhouette, just our black doctor, nothing special. The thing I want to tell you that colors have their own stereotypes as well. Different colors are associated with different things. But if we go into this subject now, I guess we will not have enough time to finish. So let's keep it just for now. And the reason why our brain concentrated on spots, I guess it's clear. It's because of so many creatures. There are so many creature plants with spots in nature. Even this frog, it's scary. And very few of them are safe for people. This is also one of the reasons why we don't like flat material, like just, fill layer from Substance Painter. Our eye is attracted to anything uneven, old, stained. It gives a slight sense of danger. And it's our visual stereotype. Okay, so another cool thing, that's a Christmas tree trick. I guess that's my trick, because I have never seen that anybody tell someone about this. By big spots, I mean attention points. They can also be laid down at the high poly stage. And that's a good example from our portfolio on our station. You can see how attention line goes along the character. Like Christmas tree, yep. From top to bottom, and usually we start from top because people look at the face first. And then if you zigzag the attention points, you have the viewer looking at the whole model from top to bottom. It works. And this is a trick for working with attention points. I often use it in my work. On high poly stage and of course on texturing stage, when concept does not give me enough information, or when I make something for myself without a concept. So yeah, next stage it's working through the color and the nature of the material. At this point, the brain analyzes the nature of the material and the large shapes. This happens almost at the same time. So polypainting and selecting the correct matte cup in the brush are very helpful on this stage. The glare is something like an accent. So glare is important at this stage. You can use the glare to accentuate the part of the model you want. I often threw the model at this stage in some rendering model just to, or engine, to approximate how my model will look after low poly, UV, bakes, and other boring stages. So then I don't need to come back to these steps, and it looks, yeah, it goes something like this. Nothing special, no texture, just to understand how it will be. On this stage, I also like to adjust some light, maybe even set up the final render scene. And here are more good examples of working out materials and details from our portfolio on workstation. As you can see how cool the glare accentuates the attention on this character. Many good glare attentions accents. Or here on this helmet, where the glare leads us from the top main glare to bottom on the glass. I guess if add some new glare here, it will be an ideal composition. So we see how glare can be useful for our composition. And only now the details. Details of both colors and shapes are analyzed by the brain at almost the same time. As you see, details are the last thing the brain analyzes, both color and shapes details. It goes through many stages of analysis before we become interested in details. Another good example. And in this lecture, I will not show you how to do detail. I guess everyone of you know how to do that. Just download the alphas or projection the scan. Okay, so in the conclusion, we should now understand that working from the general to specific when creating 3D and other visual content is the right way to approach it, because this is how our brain works as well. Details are, of course, very important, as all stages, but as we can see, the brain analyzes them last. And an object without detail can be interesting for the brain if it has a good silhouette, but an object without silhouette but with a lot of details is not. I hope you have learned something today. This information will help you to start thinking a little bit differently when creating your work of art. And also, I have a small bonus for you. So if you want to download this skull, I will ask manager to pin this link, and yeah, you can just click it and download. There will be every stages from this lecture, from basic to even this bad example, actually.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the presentation. I think it's a great time to start our question and answer session, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so the first question would be, it is hard to find a correct silhouette for the character, especially for the gray characters. Not good, not bad, just, in the middle.
Okay, I think everything is about what impression do you want from this character. So, if what do you want? Do you want evil character, or maybe something in between, or maybe you want some smooth character without any, like my Plague Doctor? It's not so evil, just a simple regular guy. Maybe he is even fine guy. I don't know. So I guess it's just practice. Yeah. But with this information, I guess it will be easier for you.
Okay, thanks a lot. The next question, probably it's a big mistake of the beginner artist. It's to start the drawings from the details, not from the overall picture. How to stop doing this?
Okay. This lecture is about this, actually. So how to stop doing this? Okay, I guess just try to setting up your brain and think about this a little bit more differently, so in a different angle. And every time you want to add some more details, just stop. Just stop and think, maybe you do something wrong.
Okay, thanks. Next question. As you work in games, probably you should take into consideration how you model not only look right, but what impact it has on the performance. So as an artist, what do you do in such cases? How do you decide what to delete, what not, and what should be optimized?
Mhm. Okay, yeah, I think a question about the detail, how many I
Yeah.
should add the details. Yeah. So you maybe know that usually we separate the details to big details, middle details, and small details. So the main key, I guess, here is to understand where will be the camera, and if the camera, like on this undead character, is very close to our character, that maybe we should add a lot of details because the camera is very close to this character. Something like that.
Yeah, okay. So I believe it's all. If you have any other questions, I believe you can find Ilya and ask him by
Yeah,
email at
sure.
least, and if he will be in Bratislava, probably in person. Yeah, I believe that's all. Thanks a lot for the presentation and answers
Thank
again.
you.
And
And
I believe we will see each other again.
yeah, thank you. Please pin the link on my Google Drive, okay?
Okay. Yeah,
So this one.
thanks. One moment. Okay, thanks.
Oh, bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.